I'm here today not to try to change anybody, but to give you some information that you may find helpful. There's an old saying that he who is not handsome at 20, strong at 30, wealthy at 40, and wise at 50 will never be handsome, wealthy, strong, or wise. My point for saying that is that every problem has a time limit on it. And if you don't solve that problem within a given period of time, you have to live with the consequences of that problem. And so the great unaddressed problem of our nation has been 250 years of slavery, coupled with 150 years of marginalization, Jim Crow, and segregation. And that is a problem that has come home to roost, and now we find ourselves living with that unsolved, unaddressed problem. We all have an obligation, a responsibility, and a duty to work towards solving that problem. I would say to the board, as it relates to our focus and what we're doing on racial equity, that they go hand in hand. They're inexorably tied together. We know one of the reasons that African Americans don't want to take the vaccine is because of the history of experimentation and what has gone on. And since we are an organization that is about health, and since people tell us the most important thing to have is your health, these two things are inexorably tied together, and we can probably do the most good than any other entity. I think you've started with the program that David Cook and others have, where you go out and tell kids, you don't have to sweep a floor. Here's a career that they've never even thought of or conceived of or thought it was. That's the other thing. You don't think any of these things are beyond your reach. You're telling them, this is within your reach. You can do this. This is what you have to do. Here's the criteria. We will help you do it. I think that is one of the most powerful, impactful things going on today. And it can start with something as simply as being a nurse's aide and developing into becoming an RN and becoming a doctor. I think those things are powerful, and many kudos to you all for what you've done on that. It's been fabulous. You guys have done a wonderful job on making the board more diverse. And as you've heard me say, I'm not really interested so much in diversity in terms of gender or in terms of race. I'm interested in diversity of thought. And when you get people who are different by gender and different by race, you naturally get a diversity of thought. The first thing is to acknowledge that there's disparity between what we want to be and what we are. The next thing we have to do is, as we make that acknowledgement, we have to confront. We have to say to people that we love and care about, grandma and grandpa, father and mother, brothers and sisters, brothers-in-laws, sister-in-laws, that what you think, what you say, what you feel is inappropriate, it is not helpful. I don't like it. I don't want you to do it. Another thing we can do is take that a step further by trying to develop a relationship with people outside of work, outside of business that we normally would not, with the understanding that all of us are people all the same. Some of them you won't like, some of them may not like you, but that's okay. That's how you develop relationships. This makes you uncomfortable. And nobody gets up every day and says, I'm going to go out and be as uncomfortable as I can. Only an idiot, only a fool does that. And I'm that idiot, I'm that fool. Which is why at age 14, being raised in the West End with virtually no white people around me, I went to St. Xavier High School, where there were 1,200 white boys. There wasn't a black janitor or a black cook. And that was somewhat uncomfortable. When I was a freshman at St. X High School, I came in and I had written a note why I was absent, and I signed it. Father Beckman, our assistant principal, called me down because he knew my mother hadn't signed it. And he was ready to exact whatever penalties there were for forging your mother's name. And he asked me, your mother didn't sign this, you did, why didn't you tell us? And I had to tell him that my mother didn't write well. So she asked me to write out the note and sign it. I felt bad, my mother would feel bad, but you know, Father Beckman felt worst of all of us. Put his hand on my shoulder, said, go back to class. These are the tributaries that go on in everyday life for some people that other people never have to see, never have to endure, never have to notice. You shouldn't have to be extraordinary to have the opportunity to excel. You should have to be extraordinary to excel. And so many people have not had that opportunity.